does.
Okay.
I just don't know where they're saving. It says it saved it.
It's just lost.
I'm assuming since I logged into the computer, it's going somewhere associated with my
I
name.
wonder if you log into your OneDrive account, if it's just dumped
I
in
don't
there.
know. It's the Cultura.
I think it does. I've used it before.
Does it dump it into my OneDrive? Or
Because
into?
you must have had to log in with your OneDrive account to get into the
Yeah, I
computer,
logged
right?
into the computer.
But did you have to use your, like, is it one of the universal NIU computers or something? So then it knows it's you, so it's probably dumping to your web.
So as you guys can see, all of us, while we were gone, they changed everything in all of our rooms.
They're all lost.
We're all lost, so you guys are lost, we're lost.
Okay, buenos dias. I think that is one of the only few words I can speak Spanish. Also, I spent 10 years in Miami. Miami is the capital of South America, but I didn't speak much Spanish. Anyway, I'm going to talk about water and public health in Cancun. The subtitle is, behind scene of sustainable development or sustainable tourism. I'm an associate professor in public health, but I didn't much study public health, my background. So my background is health science. I study health and hygiene in Japan, and I also study environmental health and safety. And then my PhD is civil environmental engineering. So I study from understanding your human body, but then I didn't go to medical doctor I should have. Too many. But then, I realized that, environmental factor affect human health. So I was more interested in preventive medicine. So I study environmental health. But then, environmental health is talking about, issue, but then didn't much learn solution. So I wanted to learn solution. That's why I study engineering. So I can design how to control air pollution or water pollution to solid waste. Right? So I use natural science, health science, social science, and technology. Can both, the nice instruments. So we are going to use those instruments to measure contaminant. And then I do a lot of math to figure out what's going on, between the environment and human health. My area of expertise is quantitative chemical and microbial risk assessment. So I can quantify what probability of you getting a disease, like infection, right? And also poison or cancer. Those are quantitative risk assessment. And then risk assessment consists of 4 steps, including hazard identification, dose response, exposure assessment, risk management, and the risk characterization. What Courtney is talking about risk perception, that is important part of risk management, because people take action or behave because of perception. They don't care knowledge. So we have to understand the perception. So I do also a lot of a perception study, how people think about tobacco smoking. But then people know tobacco is bad for you, but then they smoke, right? So I do perception study too, but then this time not to talk about. And then in order for us to investigating human health, I do 2 different options. I know 2. One is risk assessment, and the other is epidemiologic approach. So this is more actually survey. We conduct survey. We design a lot of questions to determine what kind of factor people are exposing to, and then the consequence, that is getting disease, getting injury. So not only environmental factor, social factor, including your education, income, that affect human health, and also behavior. So those are environment. So I do epidemiologic study. So based on my knowledge and experience, I promote sustainable development goal. Have you heard of a sustainable development goal? Okay, some of you don't know. So United Nations has very ambitious 17 goals Okay, so we started talking about sustainability in 1970 or 80s, right? Because of the lack of resources or concerning lack of resources. Back then, we only talk about energy or natural resources, sometimes economy. Those are sustainability before. But today, we understand sustainability cannot ignore other parameters, okay? Because we cannot sustain our human society without thinking about, without considering other factors, including education or even gender equality or peace. Okay? So I want to just, those students who have never seen Sustainable Development Goal called SDG, I want you to look at, and then I want you to think which of SDG goal you want to make a difference, personally or professionally in the future. Okay, but for me, my professionally, my goal is to protect human health. Okay, so SDG 3 is a ultimate goal. But then I'm not a medical doctor, so I'm not treating people. So how I see SDGs, this is my model. So all SDG 17 goals, so 16 are they? These are environmental or social factors that affect human health. In order to protect human health, we need to understand those factors so we can control or reduce. Okay, so this is my model. So which I want you to think about. So when you are measuring, nitrate, those P, you're just not thinking about the water or chemical, but you need to think about the big picture too, right? Just water.
That's all I think
So
about water.
yes, so water is a key, I think main topic of this, REU project. But then we cannot just discuss water itself. That is why I just brought, SDG, because everyone in this class, including faculty, we are all learners. We have to get knowledge and skill to promote sustainable development. But then typically we say, hey, sustainability is like, lifestyle, right? Like, do recycling, don't consume much energy. But then we should do beyond. So sustainability cannot achieve without thinking about the human right, gender equality, peace, no violence, cultural, contribution. Okay, these are important part of SDG and the sustainability. Right? Especially I want to, especially student in engineer may not think about the cultural peace, but these are important part. Okay. So, most relevant topic was specific target. Speaking of target, within SDG 17 goals, there are 169 target. Okay. So goal is a big. We want to know which target you want to make a difference. So this is most relevant for public health and the water, right? So target 3.3 is combat waterborne disease. Okay, this is important for us, right? Speaking of waterborne disease, what do you think about the waterborne disease? Typically, like if you drink water which are contaminated with bacteria, you may develop diarrhea, right? People in the US don't die from diarrhea, but then diarrhea is a leading cause of death among children under 5. Okay, every time I talk about diarrhea in my class, students giggle. It's not funny. People are dying, right? So, but then we are in the US. So, and also we drink water treated by water treatment plant. So you don't get much diarrhea from tap water. So main source of people in the US getting diarrhea or water-related disease is actually recreational water. Right? So student previously, this is past student, they are interested in the water health, and then they pick topic. So which was traveler's diarrhea. We like traveling, right? And then we have sometimes bad experience if you got diarrhea. So diarrhea is one of the most common travel-related disease. And then Mexico is a hot zone, right? So it is important for understand, so how come people, we go to Mexico, we get diarrhea. So they wanted to investigate. So think about diarrhea. There's a lot of exposure. Diarrhea is a microbial, bacterial infectious disease, but there's a source. That means how do we get to, those bacteria? Could be from water, drinking water. But local people don't drink much tap water. Even though local people buy those gallon water. And the tourists, we don't drink, hotel water. We drink, bottled water. That could be source, right? And then could be food, right? This could be the source of, food safety or food hygiene. People, restaurant, maybe they got the bad sanitation or you didn't wash hand. That could be source. And then could be cenote, right? This is a big, groundwater pool, right? So people go there, and if water is contaminated, okay, you may get to some infection. In the US, we monitor those recreational water, beach, beach including marine and fresh water. We have a guideline, okay? For marine water, we monitor enterococci, that is fecal indicator bacteria, and the fresh water, we measure E. coli, right? And then if the level of those fecal indicator bacteria is high, we shut down beach. So we can protect those potential infection. In Cancun, some Cancun beach, they monitor fecal indicator bacteria, so hotel around, once a while. But then they don't have any monitoring program in cenote. That's why, we are so interested in monitor recreational water. So we monitor day and night. Actually, we did overnight monitoring too.
Oh boy, did we.
Yes.
Slept in our car.
Yeah, we did. It was horrible. We collected water, and we analyzed water, and yes, we detected, totally coliform E. coli. There's a different way to measure E. coli. This is chromosubstrate, IDEX. What's that? I don't remember how to say. Anyway, so this is alternative using MPM, most probable number method to measure E. coli. So we cannot access this, IDEX method in this time because we cannot access to the laboratory in CC. So we are going to use maybe, a membrane filter method. Anyway, so we detected high level of E. coli in cenote. Right? So in the US, if you detect so many E. coli, we will see people getting infection. So in order for us to evaluate association between those number of E. coli and bather in cenote, so we evaluated, we conducted epidemiologic study. We compare E. coli level and also number of people who got waterborne disease, including diarrhea and skin irritation. Right? And also we evaluated, we conducted survey, even not this, like this is shopping mall. We conducted survey. Hey, did you go to cenote or did you go to beach? And then we evaluated, potential source of disease. Also, we got the E. coli, yes, but then we couldn't prove that there is an association between number of E. coli and infectious disease. Could be based on this limited sample size, and also other factor, confounding factor. Because as I showed you earlier, people get the diarrhea not only from cenote, but also food or other hygiene behavior. So we couldn't prove, going cenote could cause, disease. So that was, what we have done before, but the students are able to give a presentation. So this year and beyond, because we do always continuous, so we have, many projects we could do. And then many projects, we have, Gio and Eric, you are going to work with other team too, because, some projects are actually related, okay? So this is a personal care product. This is, job-related migration. This is water quality, and this is beach seaweed. So back to SDG, 3.4. I don't want you to get, any more vector-borne disease, okay? And also I don't want you to get, skin cancer. So I, as a public health professional, I have to recommend you to wear sunscreen and bug spray, okay? Sunscreen and bug spray, yes. Non-communicable disease, maybe I should tell. So non-communicable disease is, communicable disease is infectious disease. Non-communicable disease include cancer, cardiovascular disease, respiratory illness, diabetes. Those are major non-communicable disease, and the cancer is one of them. Okay? And then skin cancer. Speaking of skin cancer, many of us, skin have color, but then we have some faculty white. So they are higher risk of getting cancer, right? For skin cancer. Anyway, so you have to wear bug spray, you have to wear sunscreen, but, right? You may release those bug spray sunscreen to the water. Right? You will. And then we talked about, we are going to some nice underground, cenote, right? You are going to contaminate. You are. But we don't know how much. So we are going to do experiment in this week. Okay? So we have to design how to quantify those bug spray, DEET, or sunscreen. Speaking of sunscreen, Hawaii banned it to some sunscreen which contains some chemical, right? So you have to understand some ingredient in sunscreen could affect not only ecosystem but also potentially human health too. And if we understand how much we contaminate, from skincare product, we could contribute to reducing pollution elimination of those contaminants. Right? So understand is very important. And then Mexico or Cancun is, one of the largest tourism. Right? It's great because they could create jobs. Without money, you cannot buy anything, right? So job is very important, right? So job create many, domestic migration. Like, people from countryside come to, Cancun area to get some job in hospitality, right? Some, settle down in suburb of Cancun, formally. So they purchase, house or they rent. But then some migrant, kind of unofficially or informally settle down. Okay, if you informally settle down in the area, they don't connect to the public water system. Okay, they have money, but they are illegal, kind of not illegal, but informal. So there's a concern. So we got some preliminary data we previous student collected, but then they disappear. So like Ken said, once we got collect data, we have to create a story. So one of the things we can do is actually create a story, how job created, migrant and the migrant or informal settler, have a potentially lack of access to those water system, right? And also, unlike US, in the US, well water are well treated, except for private well. But then these collected well may go to household with only chlorination. Yes, chlorination can disinfect some of microorganisms, but then, as Ken said, water could contaminated with some chemical or organic chemical, right? Chlorination have nothing to do with it, right? And then our preliminary study showed that even some people who access to tap water, they may experience something skin irritation too. So not accessing public water system, that doesn't mean maybe safe. So we have a couple of questions we can answer. And then, in order to see, water quality, we could evaluate, E. coli at even potable as well, or some household level, or household tap water, or when we go to restaurant, we just go to bathroom and then collect the water and then measure E. coli.
Such an easy sampling
Yeah.
job.
So this is actually fun. You have to sneak the bottle, and then chlorine residue. Yes, they do chlorine, but then it may not reach to those households because of long distribution system. We could measure chlorine residue, and then TOC. TOC stands for total organic compound. Because of Ken bought new instrument, we could measure total organic compound, which is connected to the metals group. They are going to measure more specific organic compound, but then we could measure. So, you guys can work with the metals student for measure total organic compound. Right? So, SDG, 6.1, achieve universal and equitable access to safe and affordable drinking water for all. So, those informal settlers who may not access to public water system, we could actually, reveal potential those concerns, right? So we can investigate. Okay, so this is think Courtney mentioned about this. Because of this, people go to cenote. But then this is seaweed. I'm Japanese, I like eating seaweed. But then seaweed may produce, this will decompose sooner or later. And then this will emit toxic gas, including hydrogen sulfate. Okay, that is a concern. And then tourists don't expose too much this because they don't like it, right? But then, according to our collaborator in Mexico, there's a like a beach manager. They have to control this. So those workers could be exposed to this, potential source of hazard. But then we don't know, right? So they started measuring, or they are going to measure hydrogen sulfates, and then what they want me to develop or us to develop is risk assessment as well as epidemiologic survey. So we can investigate whether or not these beach managers are safe or not. Working is very important. These people could be migrant, right? So this is back to SDG 8, decent work and economic growth. It is important for us to make sure that everyone can have a safe and secure working environment, including those migrants. Okay, so now you can see the big picture. Right. Then once you get the your study, okay, I want you to give a presentation. Previous student went to many different conferences. Speaking of conference, so I'm hosting 6 international symposium for sustainable development. So you can take a picture, or you can actually go to the link.
We will send it all to you all.
Yes.
And we'll work on the abstracts while we're
Yeah.
in
So
Mexico.
abstract, you don't have to have a result yet. Even expected result or some preliminary result. You can actually, this is a great experience for undergraduate student to write. And then also you can present, not only those scientific, or you can say some show creative content, some static art, drawing, photo, or essay, or dynamic art, including video. Speaking of video, I can show you 2 videos.
Don't do it.
Yes, I do. That's connected with the sound. Hope so.
I hope so, it should.
Oh, man.
Hey everyone, my name is Stefano Munoz and I am an emerging civil environmental engineer. As a first generation student to pursue higher education, I chose quality education as one of my SDGs. I chose this because I have personally faced ongoing barriers that have limited me to access encouraging, safe, and quality education. If we fail to provide a safe and encouraging education environment, then we have failed to provide a quality education. If we seek for other changes, we must start at the core stage of improvement. My other SDG is reduce inequalities. As an individual of a minority community, I can express that inequalities present barriers for race, gender, ethnicity, and the overall identity of the person or community group. Thus, if changes shape the cycle of inequality is greatly reduced along with other SDGs, benefiting like poverty diminishing and gender equality.
We have one more to show you.
Hello, my name is Eric Zendejas, and I am a general biology student and an undergraduate researcher at Northern Illinois University. My SDGs are clean water and sanitation and life below water. I believe we can increase the availability of potable water that is free of contamination through a sustainable system for untreated wastewater and water contaminated by other chemical substances, such as bug spray or sunscreen. As an undergraduate researcher, I will quantify some substances that can contribute in the degradation of the quality of water found in bodies of water that are in frequent contact with humans and other species. Being able to quantify these substances is important so that we can have a deeper understanding of the level of contamination these bodies of water could be experiencing and see what effects this can have on humans and other marine life.
So, you guys, I recommend you to, prepare not only abstract, but, make a 1-minute video so you can actually present your passion to the world, right? That's it for
Hello,
today.
my name is Eric.
Sorry. So I have to go to my student defense. I'm a committee for student master thesis for mechanical engineering, which I'm not mechanical engineer. And then I assume that we have to come back like 1 p.m. to have a meeting, right?
Ken?
Like you said, like,
This afternoon, we're doing.
follow up or something, updated meeting or research. There's a
No,
Tomorrow is starting.
tomorrow it starts.
tomorrow, so we don't have to come back this afternoon.
And we're going to be working on some other